Hey guys, it's Tombox
and Nishi here. What's up, guys?
Yeah, I should have actually kept the mask on. I took off my mask. But yeah, we are social distancing ourselves this time around so that we're not together doing our ban-worthy video. And of course, in April, the ban list is coming up, so we like to discuss a couple of cards on top of the couple of cards we typically would discuss. We're also going into a bit more detail with the new Master Rule change, and perhaps some things maybe related to whole event cancellations, but we'll get more into that in a bit. So, let's kick things off with Master Rule. Man, your internet kind of sucks.
Yeah, my internet's pretty bad. I think COVID-19 got into my Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah, it's a little choking. Yeah, if you guys don't know, it can travel through the internet, so be safe. If you believe that statement, turn off this video right now and go do some actual research.
Go ahead. I think you have some bigger concerns.
Okay. But yes, let's kick things off with the Master Rule changes. You wanted to kick this one off?
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, we have the Master Rule changes announced by Konami to be starting in April 1st, 2020. So that's where we don't need to have arrows opening up zones if we're going to be fusion summoning, synchro summoning, or Ixi summoning.
Yeah.
So they just apply to pendulums and to link monsters.
Take that, pendulums.
Which is really, really cool. It's really cool because it kind of brings us back to like Master Rule 3 in a sense, where you can have those like Ixi spam decks or fusion or synchro-centric decks, and I think it's really interesting. But with that, there are some cards that I think need to be addressed because they just become like really, really strong under the Master Rule, whereas they weren't as strong before.
Yeah, sounds fair.
Or the new Master Rule is going to kind of like push them over the top. And I think like the big card that I think a lot of people are concerned about primarily is super polymerization.
Yep, for sure. I mean, it just got a common release in Shaddolls structure deck.
Yeah. So everyone's going to have access to super poly, but at the same time, right, like before, under Master Rule 4, you had to have like a zone open to summon that super poly monster into, or you had to like give up your own monster or something like that. But now you can just summon it to any zone, and that's kind of ridiculous.
It is pretty crazy, and the roster of what Super Poly can summon has also been getting larger and larger. Even with Ignister, Earth Golem, there's also Predaplants, Golem, yeah. There's also, of course, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, the most typical target, Muddy Dragon. So it seems to handle a big variety of boards already, and without committing into your extra monster zone, it does seem a bit unfair. In fact, I feel like if someone has multiple super poly, they can potentially just OTK someone using your opponent's materials.
Yeah, well, I mean, super polymerization was already like a really broken card before. Like, it was just so strong every time you managed to resolve it before because you broke your opponent's board and they couldn't do anything, right? It was just like, your board's gone. I have a huge monster on board now. You're going to have to deal with that. And I think if we let that go untouched through to the new Master Rule, that's a little bit too much there.
Okay. That sounds fair. So do you think it is ban-worthy? Would you put it at 1, 2, or 0? Obviously not leaving at 3.
I definitely not at 3. I don't know. I'm inclined to say that it's not going to be banned. I think it's like a little bit too, not too soon, but like they just gave it that reprint, and I think they're going to let us play with it for a little bit more. I think it's going to go either to 1 or to 2 before ultimately being banned in about a year or so.
That is that taking into account whether or not we get events?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, so the lack of events could change things up, but we don't know when that's gonna be a thing, right?
Yeah. Like, remember, guys, there's always lifespan and relevancy, like a duration where the cards are going to be relevant, and after a while it gets kind of cycled out. I think with the lack of events, I feel like that is going to perhaps maybe expand that lifespan a little bit longer for most of these cards until, further notice. I don't know. That's I think it's a fair assessment because you don't want to release product that no one can use and then ban them off before you can even get a chance to play. Then what's the point of selling it?
That would de-incentivize any product sales, right? So like that gives people no reason to buy product at all if you're going to release it and then ban it before anyone has a chance to use it. So yeah, it does make sense that they're going to extend the lifespan of those things like by a little bit longer.
Okay. Next card I think is pretty crazy in the new Master Rule. Again, it relates to, of course, their extra deck relating to Master Rule 2020, Master Rule 5. It is Instant Fusion.
Yes, Instant Fusion. That it's also another like crazy card because before you had to like have that zone open to summon the instant fusion monster into, and if you just put the monster into the extra monster zone, right, like it kind of restricted you in a way.
You had to commit that monster when you want to combo off, which means you're not really getting that much off of it anymore. Like, it's good when you're going second. When you draw a Break Apart, it goes Thousand Eyes Restrict. It opens up that zone. But now there's a slight change. You can go to Millennium Eyes Restrict and put Summit to the side, and then you can eat hand traps along the way, which makes Instant Fusion one of the best things to counter a hand trap.
Exactly. Millennium Eyes Restrict, or Instant Fusion into Millennium Eyes Restrict, just becomes like an extra Called by the Grave that is also a body. Like, it's giving you the ability to deal with the hand trap, and then once it eats the hand trap, or if you don't need it, you can link it off, which is crazy.
And it can potentially even eat other things on the board. It doesn't actually have to absorb the thing that got sent to the graveyard, because it's stuff in the graveyard and also stuff on the field. So it's also a way to break a window.
Yes, that's true.
That's side note.
Yes, definitely one of the crazier cards under the new Master Rule as well. Like, right up there with Super Poly, I would argue.
There's two more cards that I kind of want to talk about just briefly. One is totally awesome. And in fact, it's mainly because the relation to Bahamut Shark, because it can just get summoned out. A lot of cards do summon straight from the extra deck. We've got Draglubian, which is number 96. There is Bahamut 97. Yeah, Draglubian 90. And then there is also Bahamut Shark. There's even, like, Waking the Dragon. Like, I'm not even kidding. Waking the Dragon. If you pop a Waking the Dragon, they can summon Ultimate Falcon, not into an extra monster zone, so you can't even use...
That's true,
You can't even use a Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon to kill it off.
It becomes a really good answer to all the people running Lightning Storm at 3 in their side decks as well.
Yeah, and then you summon it out, it's a big problem. Like, who's gonna kill that thing? It's not easy to kill. Especially when it's not in the extra monster zone, which means Mega Fleet. Because Mega Fleet is becoming more and more popular with the upcoming, well, rather than upcoming, the stuff that already came out in Dual Overload. So there is going to be a slight shift in that regard.
For sure. Yeah, with regards to Bahamut Shark, I don't know if Bahamut Shark or Totally Awesome is necessarily going to be addressed. I think that Bahamut Shark Totally Awesome is still a really strong play. I just don't think that it's broken necessarily.
The only reason why I kind of brought it up is because Totally Awesome did recently get limited in OCG for the post-April brand list. And it seems like there's actually a lot of other stuff that also got hit, like Trish, because the reason why we have Trish at 3 right now is because the Master really locks it down from getting triple Trish, but if you don't have to maintain zoning, triple Trish is one of the most deadly hand loops ever. And
Trishula at 3 I think would be problematic. I definitely think Trish has to go back to 1. It's kind of the same idea as with like Psyframe Lord Omega being at 1. Like, it's fine as like a one of, but when you're summoning multiple in the same turn and you're looping your opponent's entire hand before they have a chance to do anything, I think that's a little bit over the top.
Okay, so those would be our Master Rule 2020 ban-worthy updates. But is there anything else you want to add on to that?
I think for just Master Rule, I think that's okay.
So let's move on to the meta hits, and let's start things off with Lunalights.
Yes. So Lunalights, definitely a really, really strong deck under the new Master Rule.
And on top of that, there are several cards that lack a bit of a once per turn kind of statement. And it's gotten a little out of hand recently, and I think it got even more out of hand with Dual Overload. So let's address some of these cards. So I have 3 cards that you can tell me what your thoughts on it are. Starting off with Lunalight Tiger, Lunalight Perfume, and Yellow Martin. Those are the 3 cards that I have my sights on in terms of whether or not they should be addressed. You go ahead. Lunalight Tiger. Let's start off with the elephant in the room, or the tiger in the room.
So in my opinion, like, I was kind of arguing with Phil back and forth about this a little while ago, and we were arguing over whether or not Perfume or Tiger is kind of like the most problematic card in Lunalights. Personally, I think that it's Lunalight Tiger. I think that Tiger as a card is just like absolutely ridiculous. The fact that it's not a once per turn, the fact that you can abuse it so many times because there are so many different ways that you can bounce it back into your hand, right? Like, you have Yellow Martin, which enables that, but it's also abused by cards like Zephyros.
Yep.
So the fact that you can just basically get like 4 revives in a single turn off of 1 card, that's just insane to me.
It's
like,
just
you
a
get
soul
so
charge.
many additional bodies. Yeah, it like, because it brings something back, and then you get the Yellow Marten back, and then you play it again, and you get another thing back, and then you bounce it for Zephyros, and then you play it, and you get another thing back. That's 5 monsters on board. Like, that's just insane. I think that, I don't know. I don't think that you can.
They can keep it.
Leave Tiger
Just give
untouched.
us Maxi.
Well, I do think actually kind of Maxi would be pretty interesting right now, but yeah, that's a discussion for another time.
So, Tiger. Would you straight up ban out Tiger?
I don't want to ban Tiger.
It's really hard. It's really hard. If you hit Tiger, it's like almost the deck is like almost unplayable.
Well, I mean, I would limit Tiger. I think that Tiger is like that abusable card in the deck, but like banning Tiger, like you can't. The deck doesn't do anything anymore, right? Like you hit Tiger down to 1 to hurt the consistency with which they're able to abuse it, and then when you're playing against Lunalight, you can Cosmic Cyclone the Tiger or something like that.
At least you only need to deal with just one, right?
Yeah, but when you have multiple Tigers, if you have Tigers in both scales, that's so free. That's so ridiculous. Like how many times you'll be able to Xyz that following turn. Holy.
It's pretty ridiculous. So Tiger is the problem. I think I agree with you on the Tiger for sure. I think Tiger is the problem. I think if we get rid of the Tiger, that should be it. You've already used that same Tiger 3 to 4 times already. I think that's more than enough use for one card. For things that aren't really once per turn, I'd say let the ban list limit it down to as close to once per turn as possible. At least that's always my take. In fact, that's going to be my take throughout the rest of this video. Second card is Lunalight Perfume. If they hit Tiger, do you think they need to hit Perfume? Perfume also lacks a bit of a once per turn.
It isn't a once per turn. I mean, like the thing that Perfume has over Tiger is that Perfume can pull something out of the deck, right? So if we're in a situation where you have Tiger, but you don't have like a Kaleido Chick, or you don't have a way to get things into the graveyard, then maybe Tiger isn't as abusable. But if you can just get the Perfume into the graveyard, then you can kind of start everything going from there.
Okay, that's fair. I think Perfume should probably also take a hit, personally. Maybe just...
Oh, you would hit Perfume as well?
I would hit all of them if it was up to me, because the whole thing of
really
lacking once per turn is a bit too much. Like, if you look at any of the videos about Lunalights and their combos, it's always the same 2 cards, and if you look at the entire roster, which I recently did a video about like the in-depth look at it, you would have noticed that there's 3 tankies, which all search out either Kaleido Chick or Tiger. Okay, you have 3 of those. You got 3 perfumes in the deck, and then you have also 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods that can dump the perfume into the deck, which essentially just acts as more searches. So your consistency level is ridiculously high. You have already dedicated 12 slots in the deck just to combo. And they're not really once per turn, so you're not locking yourself out. If you ever get, you're like, oh, I use Ash Blossom. Well, I'm just gonna throw another copy into the graveyard, and then here we go. You're gonna eat it in the face, all the same.
That's fair. You know what would actually be really funny is if Broad Bull came back.
Oh my god, no.
Can you think about how ridiculous this deck would be?
I think
if you had Broad Bull, even at 1. Because you can hard make Broad Bull.
Any generic 4 would summon out a Broad Bull, and then that would just be ridiculous. I don't think Broad Bull can come back ever until...
I don't think Broad Bull's ever coming back.
It's too free. It's like having a Rhoda that's accessible at any time.
So like 4 Strix.
But 4 Strix is different because it's locking you into specifically a level 4 Wing Beast Dark.
That's fair.
That's a very different target. But yeah, even for me, Yellow Marten is also on the list here. I would put Yellow Marten at 1. If it gets crowed, that's it. Because Yellow Marten is another card that is going to be abused more than once, and it's one of the reasons why it's so grindy. Even if you put most of these cards at 1, if you don't get disrupted, you have the exact same combo. Like, if you put all these cards at 1, it's all the same.
Yeah, if you hit everything to 1, then, like, you can still do the same things. You just can't do it as consistently. You can't do it every game. And if it's disrupted, right, you can't do it later on in the game because your 1 copy of the card has been addressed. Yeah,
if someone chooses to counter your card, I think you should be able to feel that punishment. Right now, it doesn't feel like that at all. Right now, it's just like, you hit my card, well... I guess I'll use Emerald Bird to summon the thing that got banished back onto the field. So you can still summon it back, because we're not touching Emerald Bird here. You can still do it with the time.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
So that's my take. Anyways,
Okay.
do you guys agree, disagree? Leave it down in the comment section below. Let's move on to, I guess, the next one, Shaddolls. You seem to have more to say about Shaddolls than I do.
So, Invoked Shaddol, I mean, like, already, under the previous Master Rule, so, like, over the last few months while we did have events, after the Shaddol structure deck came out, Invoked Shaddol was an incredibly strong deck. We saw a lot of tops and a lot of success from that deck.
Well, they got a lot of tops until, you know, they decided to rule against them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, your construct can't activate. That was the best counter against them.
Best ruling.
That was the best counter against them. The head judge didn't let them work.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, well, if that were the case, then Jesus, I would be so upset. Anyways,
imagine driving or flying into a YCS only for
and
someone to tell
like
you,
that.
yeah, your cards don't work here. We do not do that here.
That would be. Oh my god. That would make the deck so horrible. The deck would actually just be.
I feel for those
trash.
players for sure. I mean, can you imagine paying like $400 or $500 for a flight only for someone to tell you that you can't play your cards? It feels.
Yeah, you can't do it. And it's the head judge too. It's not just like a floor judge where you can get it overruled.
Yeah, you're screwed. Oh no, you're infected.
Yeah. Okay. Better not be. Anyways, so like, despite how good the deck was, it does have its restrictions, right? Like, just the way that fusion summoning works, you had to fusion summon into a zone, but you also had to have a zone open.
Yep.
So if you wanted to put out multiple fusion monsters, it was hard. You had to open up multiple zones, fusion summon into those zones, and then like try to reopen another zone and then summon into those zones, and it was a little bit difficult.
Yeah, one of the biggest restrictions on that was Winda. When you have Winda summoned in the extra monster zone, getting rid of that Winda was like, you committed so much material into making that Winda only to neg yourself to get rid of that Winda. It becomes a bit more interesting when you go into the next Master Rule and you open up all those zones again.
Yeah, well, with the Invoked Shaddolls, right, you can now set up some really, really scary boards and just like throw like 6 fusion monsters onto the board and not have to worry about, okay, so I need to make a link monster, then I need to make a Shaddoll monster or fuse, then I need to relink, and then I need to summon another fusion monster, right? Like, it's not as meticulous and it's not going to punish you as much for that when you can just throw all of your like fusion monsters, Shaddoll monsters, or invoked monsters onto the board and not really be punished.
Okay. So, which card do you think deserves to be ban-worthy?
Ban-worthy. Okay, so I think... Okay, so I'm inclined to think that the Shaddolls themselves are not going to be hit on the ban list.
Okay.
I think that... I mean, okay, obviously Shaddoll Fusion is a really, really strong card, right? The ability to fuse from the deck directly.
I mean, the moment they go second post-Master Rule, it's going to be exceptionally strong. Like, ridiculous. It's a major, major plus.
But that's only for going second, right? Like, going first, I think Shaddolls aren't... Like, the idea of Shaddolls isn't that strong. Like, yeah, if I open Shaddoll Fusion, Damage Juggler, and Squamata, yeah, I can do some pretty crazy stuff, but that's still 3 resources out of the hand, and I need to see all of those pieces in order to make that play. There are a lot of times where you're playing Shaddoll, you don't have a fusion spell, you don't have a Shaddoll monster, or you only have Shaddoll monsters, you don't have a light to fuse with, where your plays just always seem so underwhelming. So I don't think it actually makes a lot of sense to hit the Shaddoll engine directly.
Okay. Then which do you think is worth hitting?
On the other hand, I think that the Invoked engine is definitely worth looking at. You basically play 7 copies of Polymerization with that deck, right? So you have the Terraforming, the 3 Meltdowns, and then 3 Alistairs. Any one of those cards gets you to Invocation, and it allows you to start fusion summoning. And I think that it's too consistent, and the ability to fuse with Alistair in the graveyard gives you too many follow-up plays. It's just a little bit... It's kind of broken.
Okay. So how would you hit them down?
That being said, you'd hit one of those cards to 1. I haven't really decided yet about which card I think I would hit.
Let's hit the meltdown, guys. You know why we should hit the meltdown? Therefore, we won't get locked out by construct and all that stuff not being able to act.
Well, I mean,
Just kidding. I think Alistair is probably one of the more interesting hit choices, but I think the field spell might be the better choice.
Field spell's probably the right choice here. I mean, the fact that it stops so many, like, it not only does it give you access to Alistair and the fusion spell, but it also stops your opponent from responding, and I think that's a really big thing as well, that a lot of people overlook.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one, for sure.
Or they could just like limit Invoked Elysium.
Yeah.
And not touch Invoke so that I can continue playing the deck.
Nope. I think I've lost enough to that deck. Okay, now let's look at...
Alright, I forgot.
Now let's look at the next big meta deck that everyone's pretty much sick of, Spirals. I think one of the things that people hate about this deck the most is if your opponent ever summons out Spiral Drones, they brick your next draw. That's probably the biggest issue. Or if they don't brick your next draw, then you know that your next 3 cards were too good and you still got the worst option out of the 3. And it seems like your opponent knows what you're playing before you even know what you're playing. I think that's probably one of the most annoying part of the deck. But aside from that, of course, Spiral Sleeper, the ability to, again, this is another one of those decks that lack once per turn in a lot of the card effects. And I think that's why some of these should be addressed.
Mission Rescue.
Yeah, Rescue. In fact, let's talk about Rescue first, because I personally have 2 cards listed for Spirals that probably should get addressed. The first one being Rescue, Spiral Mission Rescue, the trap card. And for me, the second card is actually Sleeper. The thing that makes them really threatening is what I am looking at. It's a different angle when I kind of look at it, but I'll explain it as we go. But let's talk about Rescue first.
Okay, so Rescue's the trap. You can banish it from your graveyard to special summon a Spiral monster from your graveyard. And that effect isn't a once per turn, and you can use it the turn that you send the Rescue into the graveyard.
And on top of that, it's a spell speed 2 effect because it's a trap, so you can chain it onto your opponent that tries to preemptively DD Crow your cards.
Yes. Yeah, definitely like a really strong card. I actually wasn't thinking about hitting Rescue at all.
Oh, what were you considering?
I don't know. Like, what is it that makes you want to hit Rescue as opposed to like some of the other monsters in the deck?
Now, Rescue is the reason for hitting Rescue is that it opens up all of the combo options in the entire deck. Like, without Rescue, there is no comboing. And even with just one Rescue, it was possible to execute a very similar combo where it creates the whole Tri-Gate Wizard shenanigan with the Appaloosa, or even Griffin combo if you want to go in the Griffin combo direction. That's why I think this card is pretty ridiculous. It's so easy to set up Foolish Burial Goods, Magician's Soul. Everything about Rescue has been, when your opponent activates 2 or more in that one turn, just to build the board, go into the Boral Sword, kill you. I think it's just inherently not fair that this card is not once per turn, and because of the lack of once per turn, we can limit it to once per turn by just limiting the card.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Spirals?
Spirals. I actually wasn't thinking of hitting... I guess in a way I'd be hitting it, but I was thinking of banning Master Plan.
Wow, you're just killing the way to search the card. Like, there's a reason why I didn't hit Master Plan, is because Master Plan searches out the field spell, and that's why I'm not touching it for me.
Okay, yeah. I just, like, I don't know, with Master Plan... I think that, okay, Spiral Resort is also really, really strong.
It is.
Spiral Resort prevents, like, your Quick Fix or anything like that from being hit by, like, Impermanence or Effect Veiler.
Okay.
And the fact that Master Plan isn't a once per turn, right? Master Plan can search the trap or it can search the spell, and then it also gets the search of Resort and another Spiral card when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, like just by linking it off.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be destroyed, it doesn't have to be anything like that. You just link it off and you get that +2. So the Master Plan itself, if you bring it out, it gets 3 cards on its own. Right? Like, it gets you trap that you search, and then it gets you the 2 cards when it's sent to the graveyard, and it also provides the link body. I think that's just
and I think it also gives you one more thing.
Card.
You get that additional search from Spiral Resort too. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think Master Plan is just ridiculous. I think Master Plan is insane.
So we should kill Master Plan. In fact, for those of you guys who invested in Magician's Soul, oh my god, without the Master Plan, you go back to playing Dark Magicians.
Well, at least Dustin likes playing Dark Magicians, so he doesn't mind. Mind you, I gave him those souls for really cheap, though, so...
Okay, that's fair. That's fair for him, I guess.
There was another card you were talking about.
Sleeper.
Sleeper. Okay, Sleeper's
if you
interesting.
don't like hit the rescue or the Master Plan, then kill the Sleeper. That's it. Like, if you kill the Sleeper, if you think about the whole Tri-Gate board, the Appaloosa board, that board's breakable. In fact, it would actually expose a huge weakness if you take away the Sleeper, because if you super poly into World Chalice Dragon Armaduke, the board's broken completely. Like, there is nothing left, because the only thing that would be left standing in our current version of the build is that there'd still be a Sleeper that's equipped with Last Resort. And that Sleeper with the Last Resort is still almost impossible to kill, because you committed a lot of resources, you've used up your extra monster zone, and if you try to commit into the board into anything else, it's going to get popped by the Sleeper. And that's basically how it goes, unless you have like a Kaiju, but you would have Kaiju them ahead of time anyway, so that point is mute. But on the other hand, if you take away the Sleeper and you have Super Poly and you just get rid of all the monsters, then that means that play is no longer viable, but you still have an intact core. The core is still there. You can still link spam, you can still use your double helix, that stuff's not touched. You can maybe equip yourself with some of the other cards that you haven't used. I remember there's one Spiral equip card that is that can banish cards when you hit your opponent. It also boosts you by 1,000.
Oh, Spiral Gear fully armed.
Yeah, fully armed or something like that. Like, that card isn't actually that bad. That card is actually quite amazing, if you ask me.
That card itself is pretty good.
It's actually pretty good. I think that you still have the full access, and don't forget, the Spiral package isn't weak. Like, Spiral Tough is one of the most annoying monsters before the current iteration of Spiral. I remember, like, Tough came back 3 times just to pop 3 cards on the field. Like, it's almost like a Dark Arm Dragon at that point. I remember that was still very powerful, and you can still spam things out. I know we don't have Firewall Dragon. Without Firewall Dragon, it does make it a little bit harder. But that's just my take on it, because you can still link spam with the deck, even if you take away the Spiral. So you can definitely change the way that it is played. It might be different. People might not agree with it, because there's just people like to stick with what they have. That's just how it's always been. But that's what I think it's possible for also Spires. If we just take away their Sleeper, you can leave their rescues in. It's still a very powerful deck. People are gonna, people
can still extra link with it. You can still make plays with it.
Yeah, that's how it was before. I think it's still fine to this day, even if you just take away Sleeper.
Interesting.
It's kind of like hitting like Dark Destroyer out of Cosmos when they did.
Kind of. Yeah, I don't know. I think that... Oh, actually, the point that you made about drones is really, really interesting. Because what I found is, if I play against Spiral and my opponent resolves drones against me, they're always giving me a hand trap. Because
it's too late.
So many people play so many different hand traps, but it feels so bad drawing that hand trap as the 6th card.
It's like 6-card Max C, except that
yeah, exactly.
It was delivered to you.
Exactly the same theory. And what am I going to do with a Drogon Lockbird against a fully developed Spiral board?
Well, obviously, you would stop them from searching next turn.
Yeah, because they don't have anything else to search. Feels bad. So, I don't know. I think that's interesting. Like,
they could hit drones.
I think, yeah, so they could ban drones. I don't know if that is the best.
It is kind of neat if they ban drones, because that forces, if they want to get that check on the deck, they need a super agent.
Yes, in order to guarantee that the double helix resolves, they need to go into super agent or the tough first, I guess.
They can't use tough on the first turn because there's no card to pop.
Oh yeah, not on first turn, right? Yeah.
So they definitely need a super agent to get that check, or they can play Spy Gal, Misty. Can she even check? I don't think she can check either. I think she also needs to bounce an opponent's card.
Yeah, no, she has to. I think she bounces 2 things. I think that Spygal Misty is one of the most troll things Konami has ever done.
If only they changed 1 letter off of her.
It's like making a Lunalight perfume where Lunalight is 2 separate words.
It's exactly that.
I think that's so funny. I think it's brilliant. I love it.
All right, let's go into a topic that I don't want to talk about. Guard Dragon Rockets.
We get to hit Tombox's favorite deck.
Oh. So we're moving on. Let's talk about dinos.
No. Okay, so
there's only 1 card that we need to really think about here. It's LP.
LP. Okay, sure.
It's just LP. LP.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new things that people can do with needle fiber and LP? The 3
No, I haven't looked into. I haven't seen the needle fiber combos for Dragon Link.
So
yet.
one of the needle fiber combo involves setting. Of course, you use needle fiber to go into our Blackwing little buddy here, Steam the Cloak. And Steam the Cloak contains a tribute-based effect, so we can bring back our big boy Darkest Diablos. Okay. So we're going to be tossing that into the graveyard of the Dragon's Ravine. We can go into Brotar to get ourselves Chaos Dragon Legionnaire. So we go Chaos Dragon Legionnaire to rip 1 card, Diabolos to do 1 more thing, and then we use Steam and the Steam token later on. With the Krishan Needle Fiber, during our opponent's turn, we use its effect to Synchro Summon into Desert Locust, which makes the opponent discard 1 card out of their hand. But it's also a Synchro Tuner that can Synchro during your opponent's turn, so you go into the Omega with the 2 Steam tokens, and you rip the 4 cards out of their hand before they get
Wow, that's hilarious. Holy... What?
Yeah,
that's okay.
Desert Locust, that common card.
Yeah, no, I know what Desert Locust is. I have.
Yeah, but you go into Omega, so you can rip 4 cards out of their hand. So they play with 2.
That's so funny.
And then, you also finish off with Hope Harbinger on the side, and there's an Appaloosa.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, don't play that. Well, luckily, Konami already banned it, so we don't have to touch it because there's no events. Okay, let's
technically.
But honestly, I think LP, I'm not sure if it's gonna live. If TCG likes Dragon more than OCG, we might see LP for just 1 last format. We can pray. Otherwise, it's straight up going into the Shadow Realm. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did also, remember, have that errata of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
In the OCG. So I don't know when that's going to come over to the TCG.
Well,
but basically what happened is...
Right?
Yeah, but... yeah, I don't know how that errata is going to carry over to the TCG.
I don't think it's going to carry over until we get the print of the card.
Yeah,
that's usually
so
how it
just
goes.
kind of... Yeah, so it just depends on that and like when that actually comes over.
So with that, with the delay of events and products getting pushed, seems like it's going to take a while.
Could be. Also, it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I don't know how much Konami... like in the OCG communicates with Konami in the TCG, and they're like, hey, just a heads up, you guys need to reprint Red MD soon because we're gonna errata it. Like, I don't know if
so that is a fair point. There's also but yeah, do you think LP should get hit?
I'm actually completely on the fence about it. Like, if they hit it, I'd be like, yeah, that's fair, but if they didn't hit it, I'd be like, that's okay as well.
Okay.
I don't think it's a super broken card.
It's fair. I like.
Do you think it's gonna get hit?
I do worry about it.
Do you want it to get hit?
I do worry about it because every single time a Dragon Link combo comes out, it is pretty one-sided. Once the combo gets executed, I think the game is over. Anytime there's a hand ripping involved in the combo, it's over. And with Needle Fiber, Desert Locust, Psyframe Lord Omega, plus the Darkest Diablos and the Chaos Dragon Legionnaire, I don't know. It just seems like it's a bit too much. We haven't seen it in action yet, so maybe we're okay. Just maybe. And it's mainly because there's a lack of events. But if it wasn't a lack of events, I would have jumped onto the boat right away and I would have just ripped people's hands apart. They would play with 2 cards and have 2 negates. That would have been
fair.
That would have been my thought. Even if you super
Of course, that's your thing.
Yeah, that's always my thing. I never let my opponent play. That's how it always has been.
That's how Tombox plays.
Well, that's why do I develop combos? I develop combos my opponent cannot play the game, obviously. On the side note here, Kenny, we have to you have to look towards your window, and I have to look towards my screen here. Yeah, stare into my eyes.
Oh, Tombox, it's like I can see you here.
Yeah, it's like I can see you too, Nishi. Even when we're far away, we can still do this trope. Okay, a couple of other decks to talk about.
Sure. Okay. So dinosaurs.
Dinos. Dino DNA, buddy.
Yes.
Do they need to get hit?
I don't know.
Okay, compared to OCG, OCG hit dinosaurs pretty frequently. I mean, baby Ceratosaurus was hit for them, I believe. They also Oviraptor hit.
Was hit. I think Oviraptor's still at 1.
Yeah, you can't really use it. But then they also had it at 1 because at the time they also had Ib. Ib's gone now.
Oh right, yeah.
Ib's banned for them too,
Ib's gone everywhere.
Yeah. TCG OCG is gone. So, do they deserve a hit? But the only thing for me that draws a concern for dinos would be that they have 3 fossil digs. That's really it for me. Because most other decks, okay, Rhoda's at 1, so searching warriors, you only have 1 card to search warriors. Dinosaurs, like if you even want to compare utility between the 2 typing, yeah, warriors definitely have the bigger toolbox, but they also limited the Rhoda. Dinosaur isn't falling too far back in their toolbox either. They can search Oviraptor, which is the equivalent of searching, say, a Stratos. They can use it to search Giant Rex. They can so that if they have a banish-based card effect, say Double Evolution Pill, they can summon the card right back onto the field. They can search Miscellaneous Saurus, which disables any sort of interaction against their opponent. So Fossil Dig can search a lot of different stuff in there, even without the use of Oviraptor, which is why I think Fossil Dig is the card to go. I don't care about the Oviraptor. Oviraptor requires you to commit a normal summon at the very least. And that's why I think it's Fossil Dig. Fossil Dig to 1. I don't even want to hit anything else out of the deck because, again, their toolbox is not as elaborate as a warrior-based toolbox. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. Every other deck has their basic search card limited down to 1 already, so kind of the same deal here. And you're cut off again. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so Fossil Dig is definitely a good card. I don't know, I just think that we have other searchers in the game, like we have cards like Tanky, right? Like, or Emergency Call, I guess, technically. I don't think that Fossil Dig's the card that should get hit. I think that it's Soul Eating Oviraptor.
Okay, why?
So, on one hand, Soul Eating Oviraptor, sure, you're burning your normal summon, but at the same time, like, Soul Eating Oviraptor, the fact that you can pop the card on the field and then proc that effect, and then pull something out of the graveyard and then activate that monster's effect is, like, pretty good. Especially with Lithosagem back at 1.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of room for the True Kings to be abused in the Dinosaurs, and I mean, True King of All Calamities is still like a really strong card.
Yeah, it's not it's not very fair if it does get through, but no, but you earned it. You earned it if you summoned it. That's what I like to believe.
Yeah, that's fair, but I don't know. I just think that the ability to abuse like the babies with the True Kings, even though Dragonic Diagram is at 1, the fact that they released Lithosagem back into the game makes it too potentially abusable.
I actually enjoyed the Lithosagem in the game. It was one of the more fun aspects where if you actually pop 2 babies, not only did you get 2 dinosaurs out into the field, you also ripped your opponent's extra deck. That was like
that's why it got banned.
But
that's why the card was banned in the first place.
That's why I liked it so much. Because so many decks rely on 1 extra deck monster. Can you imagine a 3-axis Dragon Link deck getting hit by a Lithosagem and they're like, wait, I can't really play anymore. That's right, because you lost your extra deck.
Guys, I think Tombox is the one who needs to be banned. He's too degenerate.
Hey, I want the new stuff to come in, man. Why can't my Blackwings be successful? Why can't my I don't know very many lower tier decks. Kind of stuck in the top tier area.
That's fine. That's not a bad place to be stuck at.
It's okay. It's okay. It's only all right. But there's one thing about Dinosaurs that's interesting for the new Master Rule is that you don't need to maintain your zones anymore. going into like a Lagia and a Dolka was originally you have to immediately like you have to take your dinosaurs out of level 4 and then you have to link it off to give you the arrows to go into these monsters so that you can actually set up maybe Lagia and Dolka. Now that's not going to be an issue. Now you can have both. You had to make a choice before. Now you can actually have both.
Well, I think the idea with dinos before, if you're going first, you really only made like the one extra deck monster ever. Right, so if you were going first, you set up either Lagia or Dolka or maybe the VFD, and then if you were going second, you just like Pentastag and then UCT.
Yeah,
and you were usually
probably
fine.
even Daguerreus to punch for game, something along those lines.
Yeah,
okay,
but I mean, zoning.
I think I'm just reminiscing, like Dino Thunder. Dino Thunder had to maintain the zones because you wanted both zones and you wanted the Thunder monster. And you needed the zones to actually allow for that to happen because you want the Colossus out. Of course, Colossus is already banned, so it shouldn't even be an issue. Maybe they can give back one Colossus.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way.
Just one Colossus. Then you'll say goodbye to Jordan Longbird. And then I'll play Dino Thunder with the new Master Rule.
No, we're okay. We're okay. We're okay without Colossus in the game, guys.
Oh, one could dream. One could dream. Okay, last deck we're gonna talk about Heroes. Another deck that relies on the extra deck. They don't need to. Well, even though they don't want to, they probably still will link summon because the extra heroes are still really really good.
Cross Crusader is really really strong, so I don't see them not going into Cross Crusader anytime soon.
And they're just gonna make the same boards. I don't think they're changing very much.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say about Heroes is that they have a bit more flexibility under the new Master Rule.
Okay.
Right, you won't get punished as heavily for not summoning to the correct zones in the appropriate order.
So they play on easy mode. They get to go. I would like to play easy mode,
the deck's
please.
just a lot easier.
Easy mode, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. So I that being said, I don't think Heroes. They haven't seen too much competitive success over the last few months. Like, they've seen a bit here and there, but they're not, I wouldn't say, like, the best deck of the format or even close to it by any means.
Have they depreciated yet? Oh, someone's getting arrested.
No, I mean, well, adjusted golds are still like 125.
Why?
They're still like 90.
Why are they 100 something? Oh my.
Yeah, there was something crazy like that. They have been for a while, though, so. I mean, I think the idea is that Heroes are such a fan favorite deck that even if they're not doing well, people still want to play them, right?
Yeah, but you're not.
I heard Charlie might be coming back to the game and playing Heroes, so.
Oh my god.
I know,
Man,
it's crazy.
The Vancouver scene's getting a revamp of the old players.
Yeah, apparently, because we have like Ian back and everything like that.
That'd be nice. Maybe we'll finally get a regional. Just when we finish our first OTS season, we get hit by this.
We need a regional to bring some life back into the Yu-Gi-Oh community here.
I hope we can. For sure.
For sure. I mean, on that note, I don't think Heroes need a hit. I don't think, like, if Heroes are left untouched, I think they'll be fine. I have seen people talking about semi-limiting Malicious because they're concerned about the possibility of Heroes getting too strong.
Oh, I thought I was just going to make Beatrice with that card. It's very easy.
Yeah.
It's very easy to set up Beatrice, and I don't need a zone for it. The moment Beatrice becomes easy access is the moment I get a problem with a deck like that or a card like that.
That's fair.
Because it's just like having a love of all chain. It is love of all chain.
Yeah. You don't think love of all chain's coming back?
I wish. I wish it would come back.
I know, that'd be crazy.
It's like,
that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, then I'll play Infernities.
Okay, why?
Okay, that's all I really got for ban-worthy. Are there any other cards you think is ban-worthy for the format? Lightning Storm?
Oh, actually, okay. So Lightning Storm, I think is meh. I think Lightning Storm's actually pretty okay. I don't have too many issues with it.
Because you have 3 copies.
I had like 6 last weekend, but I've sold a few. I sold 2 to you.
Yeah. I only took 1.
Well, that's okay. Oh, I gave you the one. Ah, that's okay. Oh, I gave 1 to Paul. But Yeah, one other thing that I just thought of that I actually do want to touch on is needle fiber.
Do you think that's gonna get hit soon?
So I don't know about needle fiber being hit directly. I think last year when you went to Worlds, didn't you talk to some people about needle fiber and they said it would come out in like a shorter format?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we don't even get to play it right now.
Yeah. So I mean, it was gonna like I think the idea was it came out like at the middle of March, and it's now gonna be the beginning of April when we get a ban list. So there's a couple short weeks theoretically where we could have seen it do some crazy things. And I think the idea is that it was going to have some cards addressed on the ban list.
Yeah.
So that being said, like, do you think there is any needle fiber related card that could be hit? Like, do you think like Glow Up Bulb, Steam the Cloak, Olion?
I think maybe like one of the Cloak personally. Steam the Cloak is probably the one that I would probably address more than Glow Up Bulb. Glow Up Bulb, sure, you can make a Nat Beast. Okay, that is very strong, but it also requires you to run Earth-based monsters. How many decks run Earth-based monsters at this very moment? Not very many. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, the other thing about Glow Up Bulb, right, is that Glow Up Bulb can go into needle fiber all on its own.
True.
Right, you Glow Up Bulb, you turn it into Linkuriboh, then you bring back the Glow Up Bulb, and you have needle fiber.
Okay, that's.
Do you think that's worth warranting, like considering hitting Glow Up Bulb on a ban list?
That on its own, it could be. It could be because you can go Glow Up Bulb into the other aforementioned cards.
Yeah, into Steam the Cloak.
Yeah, that is a big problem. And
yeah,
they do lead to some pretty degenerate plays. I'm not going to lie. It's just what it is, really. Yeah, I would agree. Those are some of the issues that we have to probably address very soon.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see some way of hitting needle fiber on the list. I don't know what it is yet. We don't know what events are going on. We haven't seen it. Like, we've seen it abused, obviously, by like everything, but we don't know what like the biggest way that it's being abused is in the game right now.
I honestly thought that it would live for about one format, like right up to so it would have been from April to the August list, and then after the August list, that's it. Like, everything gets killed.
Okay.
Like, I'm pretty sure Neofiber was gonna get killed. It didn't get short printed to the point where it would require like a long lifespan. Some people said it was short printed. I didn't experience that myself, so.
Yeah, because you pulled 3 and you're half the case.
Yeah, I guess I got really lucky. But some people only pulled 1 in their case. If they did short it, then the lifespan obviously would be longer because people would have to spend more money on it. But if they didn't short it, it didn't seem like it. It was really on or off. Like, the cases, they were... Okay, there definitely were short printed cards. Like, Condemned Dark Lord was like a crazy short printed. Relinquish Anima was a short printed card as well. Not very many. Not even 1 per case.
Yeah, Bujin Akashima was actually quite short printed as well. I think we were looking at it and there were like 2 pulled in like 3 cases or something.
Yeah, very limited stuff. So the ones that are short printed, but needle fiber was at least 1 per case. Okay, maybe 0 to 2 was like the average.
I didn't really see anyone pull 0 needle fibers though. Thankfully,
well,
so.
Thankfully, because we were opening them.
Yeah, because we pulled them all. Oh,
okay.
But
yeah, maybe possibly, but again, it's like lifespan. Like, right now the card's pretty pricey, but is it warranted? Probably not.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed our ban-worthy video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. I've got a banlist prediction coming up very soon, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on it. I guess most of my thoughts are already talked about it here on ban-worthy, but there's a couple cards. Yes. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you'll disagree. There's a lot bigger list next coming. So yeah, that's all I got for this one. And if you guys enjoyed a laggy Nishi on my right side, he's lagging like crazy.
What's up, guys?
Right now your eyes are closed and you probably don't even know. And I'm probably not going to do very much edit. I'm just going to put a symbol somewhere on your face saying it's connecting.
It's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you guys can still hear me though. So
yep, don't worry.
It's okay.
We'll make sure that the audio is good. Think of it like a podcast.
I'm not just a pretty face.
Well, maybe you're just a face.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Thomas.
All right, if you guys enjoy it, thumbs up. Make sure you hit subscribe, ding notification bell, and until next time, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV. And don't forget to hold on to your Dual Overload copy, because that was also short printed.